Thank you, Dom. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your attendance this evening. You lucky people, I am chairing the meeting again this evening because we have had apologies from Councillor Evans, sadly, again tonight. In terms of apologies, obviously there is Councillor Evans. Do we have any other apologies, Karen, please?
I believe there's Councillor McChrystal as well.
Okay, thank you. And moving on then to any declarations of interest from any members of the board, please.
We've got late items as well, Chair.
Oh yeah, sorry, I just skipped late items. I do apologise.
Under the late items, we do need to move.
Two, Karen. I was just going to mention firstly about the Moreways presentation. As Karen mentioned before we started the live feed, we have invited members of the Communities Board to attend the meeting. It appears that we've currently got Councillor Pegg from that board in attendance so far. Good evening, Councillor Pegg. Thank you for joining us. And we've also got Councillor Wood in his capacity as the Cabinet member who's come to observe the presentation as well. Just to make it clear, following the presentation, I will allow any members of the other board to ask any questions that they might wish or raise any comments. But clearly, if there was any votes to take place on any recommendations that we would make, they would be excluded from voting, and only members of this board would be allowed to participate in those votes. Okay, and then the other late item that I need to just raise is about the January board meeting. I know that Karen has circulated an email to that effect already. There's a clash on the 19th of January that we need to address. Karen has helpfully suggested that the overwhelming response that she received to that email suggested that we should probably move it to the 18th of January as opposed to the 19th. Is that okay for members of the board to agree, please?
It's Mike Carr. Yeah, that's fine with me, Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine, Chair.
Great, okay.
Fine with me, Chair, as well. Councillor
Marvellous. Thank you. Okay, we've done declarations and nobody made a declaration. Are you happy with that, Karen?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, moving on to the minutes of the meeting now, and as before, everybody, if we could make sure that everybody is on silent when they're not speaking, and if you wish to speak, please indicate in the chat and I will come to you. That would be very, very helpful. Okay, so the minutes of the meeting then. Firstly, I'll take them for accuracy as a whole. Do members of the board consider those to be an accurate reflection of the meeting?
Yes, Chair.
Sorry, Sarah, I can't find the chat at the moment. I think, is the date at the head wrong? It says September 2020. Is that correct?
Yes, Mike, that's the meeting you keep forgetting about.
You know, I could have sworn it was earlier in the year. Okay, sorry.
Mike, you're having too much fun in lockdown. That's what this is. Time is flying by for you. Okay. On taking that into consideration, can we agree them as accurate, please?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, fine with me.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, are there any matters arising from those minutes that are not covered in the agenda that any member wishes to comment on? I'll take that as a no, and they've been agreed, so we now move on to item number 5, the Moreways presentation. Claire, is that you?
Hi, yes. Hi, thank you, Councillor Russell. The purpose of the update on the Moreways Sports Village is to provide the latest information on the construction of this exciting project. So my colleague Wayne Sills is also here, who's the area leisure centre manager, and we'll put a presentation up and both of us will take you through that.
1 second.
So I'm Claire Davenport and I'm the Director of Leisure, Culture and Tourism. And so myself and Wayne have been working on this project for over 10 years, and we're very pleased to be able to bring you this latest update. Whilst the slides are just loading, it might be useful for members of the board to take a trip down memory lane. The leisure facilities strategy was something that we looked at in 2010, and the purpose of that was to replace the ageing facilities that we'd got in the city, particularly the leisure facilities. And we wanted to replace them with modern leisure facilities which would meet the future needs and aspirations of the city. So over the last 10 years we've been working towards delivering those plans, and initially
One second, let me just unplug my screen.
So whilst the presentation is still just being finalised, we initially invested in the athletics facility at Moorways, and that was in 2012 and 2013. So we refurbished the actual athletics track, and that was the start of our refurbishment programme. And many of you will recall that was followed by the Derby Arena opening in 2015. And that was constructed on time and within budget, and obviously very pleased now to be able to bring you Moorways Sports Village update today.
Is that it? Sorry.
Okay, so that was a trip down memory lane, and we're now very pleased to be able to show you some of the images of the Moorways Sports Village. So we're calling it the Moorways Sports Village, and that includes the actual new facility that involves a 50-metre pool and also a water park. But also, because of the grounds where we have the athletics track and the sports football pitches and the all-weather pitch, we're actually seeing this as a destination facility, whereby there's more than just one facility here to visit. It becomes a place to be in the city and will attract people from far and wide. And the actual project took a significant step forward when it received planning permission in 2018. So we're very pleased that the planning permission was granted, and also the budget of 42 million. So the actual programme started in January 2020, and we appointed Bowmer and Kirtland as the construction contractor, and they're one of the largest construction businesses in the country, and they're a Derbyshire-based firm. They've got a track record of delivering major leisure projects, and we were fortunate enough to work with them on Derby Arena. And they've done both public and private sector facilities, including a number of other pool facilities. So we're in very good hands with regards to construction contractor, and they started on site in early 2020. And we're currently on track for this venue to be delivered within the £42 million budget. We also worked with Mace, who are our project construction management company, and they again worked with us before, so we're in great hands. They help project manage the project, with Bowman Kirtland actually working with the architects to construct the venue that we've designed. So looking at then the design of the facility, the actual facility mix itself compromises of a 50-metre 10-lane pool. a learner pool and a water park, so like a leisure water area. It's also got soft play for children, a cafe and meeting rooms with health and fitness facilities, such as a gym and exercise studios, and there are separate changing rooms for swimmers and gym members. We've developed the facility mix with stakeholder and public engagement, and it's been absolutely critical, them being involved in helping us arrive at the facility mix that feels right for Derby, and we'll continue to engage with our stakeholders throughout the project as we develop the activity programme as well as the design for the venue. Taking part in sport and physical activity can have a huge physical and mental health benefits for individuals, and in designing Moorways we're keen to provide a range of facilities and an environment that encourages and supports our residents and communities to take part in sport and physical activity. As we've seen through the success of our Live Well programme, many of you will be familiar with, the use of sport and physical activity has helped individuals to stop smoking, to lose weight and make new friends, and improve their overall physical and mental health and well-being. And we very much see the Live Well team being part of the programme of activity being delivered from this venue. As we take you through the next few slides, you'll see the focus on family activity being a key part of the facility mix, as this came through very strongly from the stakeholder and public engagement that we undertook. So looking at the actual facility, sort of as a cross section, if you like, hopefully you can see some of the main designs that I've started to talk through with you. The building's on 3 levels, and as a customer you actually enter in the middle level, so you go up a ramp from the car park area, and the car park area is where the old sports hall used to be, and then you go into the main reception, and then if you want health and fitness you go up another level. And that's the level that's looking like it's at an angle to the rest of the venue on the cross section. And then if you want the swimming pools, then you go down a level. The central level, so the one that you go into, houses the main reception, the cafe area, the soft play area, and the meeting rooms. The soft play will look over Moor Lane and Osmaston Park through the main window, and it'll be catering for young families and children up to the age of about 12 to 13, having slides, climbing frames, ball pits and interactive features. So hopefully keeping the children well and truly entertained. The meeting rooms sit the opposite end of the central level, and they look out towards the stadium. The rooms operate as one large room, or they can be split into 2 or 3 smaller rooms to hold meetings or training courses, birthday parties, for example. So very flexible design. And then the upper level that I mentioned is a gym with the exercise studios. That'll have treadmills, bikes, rowers, all the resistance equipment and free weight machines that people are used to seeing at this quality of venue. There'll be 3 separate studios for exercise and an indoor cycling studio, and there's separate changing rooms on this level, so it'll create an opportunity for people to be separated from the wet changing facilities. So on the pool level, we've also got a 50-metre pool and a water pool, which we'll take you through in more detail shortly, and we'll show you some close-ups of the 2 main pool features. The learner pool complements the larger pools, and that's like a 4-lane teaching tank, and the pool is glazed, and it offers views out to the water park and to the 50-metre pool. So sort of sandwiched between the 2, if you like, you can look either way and see either the 50-metre pool or the water park, and that'll be good for families that want to just keep an eye on family members. but also the learner tank can be closed off. So it's been designed with the ability to view through the glazing when it's desirable to do so, but also the ability to blind off the sessions by covering the windows when we may want to use it for things like disability sessions, or learn to swim sessions, or schools, or private sessions for women or girls or ethnic minorities. So it again creates a really flexible programme opportunity that we're not able to offer in Derby currently. So linking the three pools together is a village changing room. So it's mixed use village changing, where you have cubicles for families and individuals and disabled cubicles. And this is complemented by group changing rooms. In developing the mix of water facilities, it was essential to look at how we support the swimmer's journey and how from starting out splashing and playing in the water park, we can progress through our Learn to Swim programme in the learner pool and then into recreational or performance swimming. So taking part in other sports such as canoeing, scuba diving, or the 50-metre pool performance swimming. So there's other things that people can develop into, if you like. So the next facility shot that we've got for you is a mock-up of the 50-metre pool. Now, this is a very special facility. There's very few 50-metre pools that are 25 metres in width, and that provides us with 10 lanes, and it's one of the few of that size. And the reason we chose that is because it allows us to go across the width of the pool to create 3 regional size tanks. So an average tank is 25 metres. So we can go lengthways and create a 50-metre tank, or widthways, and then we create 3 25-metre tanks. And so that was the way of getting the maximum use of water space under one pool roof, and that helps save on costs of individual facilities. And the way that we split this 50-metre tank up is through really innovative technology. And we have things like movable walls and movable floors. And this allows us to maximise the programming opportunities of that venue. It's 1.8 metres in depth, but because at a fixed level, but because of the movable floors where those sections are, so it's not a movable floor across the entire tank, but where we have the movable floors, you can have the depth from anything from 1.8 metres to 0, depending on the activity taking place. And that can help give people water confidence. For people who don't like that feeling that there's a lot of water below them, they want that ability to be able to touch the feet down. And so this will help us maximise revenue opportunities, as well as meet customer demands and the demands of the locality and our communities within the city, but also demands further afield from regional users where we think that's appropriate. Ensuring the pool is easy to access, especially for customers with mobility issues or with physical disabilities. It was essential that we design this to enable easy access, and we've got self-depositing steps and a lift that can lower people into the water. And in addition, we're also providing something called a pool pod for the 50-metre pool, which was designed for the 2012 Olympics and Paralympic Games, and this allows swimmers to independently access the pool. The pool's overlooked on the left-hand side by 450 spectator seats. It's accessed from the central level of the facility to get to the spectator seats, so the reception area, and you go past the cafe, so if you wanted to take any refreshments through for an event, that's permissible. And parents can obviously watch the Learn to Swim classes when we don't have events on as well. On the right hand side, there are 300 seats on the actual pool side itself, so that's on the lower ground, and that allows the competitors room to have their swim attire before they actually enter then their race for the competition, and those seats are accessed through the changing rooms. So an absolutely fantastic facility, and I'm going to hand over now to my colleague Wayne Sills, who's the area leisure centre manager. He's going to take you through some more of the exciting facility designs that we've got for this venue.
Thank you, Claire. As Claire said, I'm just going to take you through a few more slides just to show you the work that's been taking place and the progress that that's taken place so far on site. And I just want to share with you one of the really exciting features that we have in the new facility, and that's the water park. And it brings something new, fun and exciting to Derby with its family-friendly water attractions. In developing the water park, the team undertook a number of benchmarking visits to other venues, such as the Sandcastle Water Park in Blackpool, the Splash Park at Huddersfield Leisure Centre and Corby International Pool. And these visits gave us a real opportunity to talk to the operators there to understand what features were well received by their customers, what features weren't well received by their customers, so we could really look to try and cherry pick the best of everything for Derby. We could talk through how they operated their facilities, look at how they programmed it, and critical things such as staffing levels from there. So real exciting addition to Derby. And the way we've designed the pool level means that, as Claire talked about earlier, we can open the leisure water, the water park up through to the teaching pool and through to the 50-metre pool, which means we can provide a whole family experience, from the slides and rides in the water park to floats and toys for youngsters in the learner pool, through to the Atlantis splash run, which we currently have at Queen's, in the 50-metre pool. As you can see from the slide, there are a number of key features that the water park holds, and I'm just going to take you through these over the next few. So the racer slides, running along the lower part of the water park is the dual racer slide. Here you can race down on your own and try and beat your previous time, or if you're feeling competitive, you can challenge your family, your friends to a racer slide race and see who gets to the bottom first. In addition to the racer slide, we've got more sort of racing spills and thrills are provided by the 4-story body slides, which are these here, and these are housed on the opposite side of the water park. Starting high above the facility, the slides twist and turn outside the building before coming back in to finish in the catch tank at the bottom. And with the flume slides being external to the building, they're going to be visible from the stadium, hopefully encouraging spectators and competitors at some of our athletic events to come over and have a go, but also visible from Moor Lane as you drive, walk or cycle past. So a real opportunity to showcase those and encourage people to come in and use the facility. Central to the actual pool itself is something called a wow ball, and Derby will have the first one of these in England. Real opportunity for us to bring something new and innovative to the city. The wow ball sits central to the main water area and can bounce up and down at different speeds, creating waves that will flow around the pool area here and out onto the beach towards the lower end of the facility, creating ripples just like being on at the seaside. At the forefront, at the forefront of this slide is the beach and splash pad area, providing young families with a safe and fun space to enjoy the water. The splash pad here has a number of water jets that will spray from the floor, and parents and grandparents can sit and play with the children on the beach and in the shallow water just here. The beach area gently slopes down into the water, making it easy for older people, disabled people to access the water safely, or for grandparents to go in and wade with young children. Following on from the beach is the elevation, which sits here just to the left. It's an interactive water play structure for young children with tipping buckets, sprinklers and other activities, all powered by the movement of water. So the more your children explore, the more fun they have, the wetter they will get. And providing something exciting for families of Derby has been central to our plans, and of such, we have the first wave rider of its type in England, which is the facility that runs here at the back of the water park. Collecting your inflatable tyre, you can make your way up the steps. Once at the top, you sit in your tyre and off you go, sliding back and forth until you come to a stop at the bottom. And if you want, you can take a ride with your friend in a double tyre. Through the floor-to-ceiling window on the left, Helmwood provides a beautiful backdrop to the water park and brings the outside in. Moving to the outside, I have a few photos to show you the construction progress that is currently taking place on site. So here, this image shows the whole construction site at Moorways, and it's taken from one of the CCTV cameras at the top end of Moorways. So for those people who are not sure on the site orientation, this is the end where Rolls-Royce is. In the foreground of this shot, you can see the top car park is currently under construction. Moving on is you can see that construction is now well underway across the whole of the site, and here we've got the entrance access road from Moor Lane is now complete, and the main car park and access road to the stadium is currently being tarmacked, as shown by the picture on the right. As Claire mentioned earlier, the 50-metre pool is a key feature within the facility, and construction of this area is now well underway. As you can see, the supporting and roof steels are in place. The hole for the pool is being dug out at the moment, and concrete for spectator seating running along the left-hand side of the facility is now in place. The big space at the front is a gigantic floor-to-ceiling window, which will really showcase the pool hall for people walking, cycling and driving up and down Moor Lane. As mentioned earlier, as part of the design process, we undertook a lot of engagement with stakeholders and public, and this was critical to ensuring that we get the right design for Derby. We carried out a number of workshops, presentations and meetings and open public consultations, which is some of the groups and organisations that are shown on the slide currently. The feedback we received, whether that was suggesting different floor colouring finishes to aid visually impaired customers, facilities for families and young people, or the scoreboard and timing system for competitive swimming, has all been invaluable in helping us get things right. And I would just like to take this opportunity to thank all those that have contributed so far. And stakeholder and public engagement will continue over the next year as we start to develop the programme ready for opening. And with construction well underway, opening is now starting to be our focus. We're looking for Moorways Sports Village to open in spring 2022. And as a facility, it will have a key role to play in supporting the economic regeneration and recovery of the city. We have been very lucky that during the recent lockdown, we've been able to continue with the construction in a COVID-safe way, which has provided employment to a number of construction workers from and around the city. Currently, there are approximately 100 people working on site, and as the construction continues, the site will continue to provide employment to a number of different trades over the next 18 months. Once operational, the venue will continue to provide employment for residents around customer service provision, cleaners, but particularly lifeguards and swimming teachers. We will need to have many more than we currently do within the service. We will also be able to look at providing training courses for residents to train to become lifeguards, swim teachers, sports coaches from the venue. From an events perspective, joining the site together with the stadium as the Moorway Sports Village provides an ideal opportunity to further raise the profile and reputation of Derby through hosting a range of new events such as triathlons, aquathons and regional swimming and aquatic competitions, all of which we currently can't hold within the city. All these events will bring people to Derby, giving us a real opportunity to promote the city, encouraging them to stay for the weekend perhaps, and to see local attractions such as the Silk Mill, the museums, and spend and eat in restaurants and shops across the city. The development of Moorway Sports Facility further enhances the reputation of the city as a place that people will want to live, work and visit, and as such provide an opportunity to support further investment in Derby. Thank you. And Thanks. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Wayne. I hope from that summary you can see that we've got a great team of people working on this venue, and we've achieved an awful lot in a very short space of time. It's a cross-departmental council team, so we're very grateful for all our colleagues as well as our stakeholders and the support that we've got from our partners in being able to deliver the summary that we've provided for you this evening. So as Wayne said, please feel free to ask any questions.
Thank you, Claire and Wayne, for that really informative presentation, and thank you very much to the members who have indicated using the chat function to ask some questions. Councillor Pegg first, please.
Thank you, Chair. Are there any proposals with regards to the running track, please?
In what way? Sorry.
Well, are we right? Okay. There's always seemed to be an issue with the track and the athletics club buying into whatever we do, or whatever the case may be. Are there any proposals to upgrade the track and make it more of a facility similar to the pool?
We invested, as Claire said earlier, we invested in the track, as that was one of the actual first things we did as part of the leisure facility strategy. So in about 2012-13, we invested around about £300,000 in upgrading a lot of the track and field events to the IAAF standard, which is the international level. Yeah. We have over the last several years continued to invest where we've been able to in the stadium. We've recently just had the boilers upgraded in the grandstand, and the grandstand itself has had some structural work carried out and the facility repainted. So the colour now of the grandstand will start to match and reflect the colours of the outside of the swimming pool. We have got a really good working relationship with the athletics club and the new chair, Angela Ward. We meet regularly, myself and a colleague who works on site. We work with them in terms of bringing new events to Derby, and last year we was not currently, unfortunately this year all our events programme for the COVID reasons have had to be stopped, but last year we had a really good event season from an athletics perspective, working really closely with the club, which brought 2 disability events to Derby for the very first time. So we have invested heavily as much as we can in the stadium facility, and we do work really well with and closely with the athletics club, and we are taking them on their journey, so we continue to meet with them and give them an update on progress with the pool, and they were one of the key stakeholders.
Yeah, thanks for that, Wayne. Yeah, it's great to hear that you are working with them. But can I ask why we're not being told as a general public about the athletics that have been taking place? You mentioned that there's a couple of events with disabled athletics events, and I don't think that was really advertised within the city, was it? Because I never saw anything on it.
We try to work with the club and do put quite a lot of advertisement out there around some of the events that we hold. I think with the development of the Moorways Sports Village complex as a site, I think that will help a lot in terms of bringing people to the Moorways athletics events. Because of the nature of the site, we have had a number of people that, because the old pool and sports centre closed, assumed that the stadium had closed at the same time. So we've been doing quite a lot of work with the local community around the fact that the stadium is still there and will continue to be there when the new facility opens. So we've had a little bit of an uphill battle with that, and I accept that we do probably need to do a lot more around promoting some of the events that we've had at the stadium in the past, and some have been really well attended. We've held, and we do annually hold, a national cyclocross event, and we have over 2,000 people there across a Saturday and Sunday. So when we get those things right, working with the organisations, then it really does make a difference to the competitors, but also to the city, because a lot of those people came and stayed for the weekend.
Thank you, Chair. Later on I'll ask another one if I may.
We'll see, Paul. We'll see. Councillor West, I know you've got some questions.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it wouldn't be me if I hadn't. Thank you for the update, guys. I have been asking for this to come back to this scrutiny board since the 2018-19 year, so I'm very glad to finally, towards the end of 2020, have an update from the City Council. So the questions that I have are, firstly, at 5.2 of the report, it talks of newsletters that are going out to local residents, and I'm just wondering if you can give me a bit more information of sort of who they're going out to, how far away from the site they're going out. Secondly, where am I? How much have the delays cost? There have to have been delays. I've been past the site. I went past the site several times during the beginning of lockdown, and it looked as if there was nobody there. And whether there were things happening or not, there have to have been some delays. So just wondering how much those have cost. Wayne, it's really good to hear again that it's due to open in spring 2022. We've gone from the end of 2020 to late 2021 to spring 2022. Really hoping that it's not going to go past that date. And what was the other one? Yes, are we still within the 42 million that was set aside for it? So yeah, that's my questions for now.
Okay, I'll start, and then Claire will probably pick up some of these as we go through. So I'll start with the newsletter. That's done by B&K, so the contractors on site, and they tend to do one, I'm going to say it's roughly monthly, depending on progress and what they need to provide as an update. In terms of its distribution, I'm not sure of how far it goes, but I think it certainly covers the houses that back onto the development, because it's trying to keep them updated with construction when certain things are happening. So I think last week the big main steels were delivered. So I think part of the newsletter that went prior to that happening was to let local residents know that there may be a little bit of congestion, and because on these days the steels are coming. But what I can do is speak with Matthew Throst, who liaises with B&K on all our communications, just to find out how far those newsletters do go, and we can feed that back to yourself either directly or through Karen, if that's okay.
Great. I just see Councillor Wood raising can we get copies to ward councillors? I ask because I live less than half a mile from Moorways. I live on the other side of the park, and I've had no communication from Beaumont and Kirkland about anything. Neither have any residents that I know who I speak to regularly on Osmaston Park Road. My experience with such things, such as newsletters for the Sinfin waste treatment plant, are that they don't actually go out to residents, because I don't get those either. But yeah, if you could get an update from Matthew, that would be brilliant.
I will do, no problem. I'll jump to the, in terms, I'll come back to the budget. I'll let Claire do the budget ones, but spring 2022, I appreciate, yeah, we've had a number of the dates moved a few times over the last few years. Partly this year, there's the slight move from the end of 21 to 22 is, while, as I said earlier, we've managed to work really safely and continue construction around COVID, it has unfortunately resulted in a little bit of slowing down of work, just because not being able to have as many people on site as we would have done. But in some ways, where we are with the build has been a real advantage to us, talking with construction and Mace and other people that are delivering leisure builds that are much closer to finishing. They've been hit quite hard with COVID because they've not been able to get the trades on site to do the work that's been needed. So while we have experienced a few weeks delay, we're probably in a better position than we would have been had we been towards the end of finishing, and things then get stretched out because you can only have one electrician in a particular part of the building or something like that, which just extends it.
Sure, thank you. And obviously, we want this opened to the best standard for people. It is just frustrating, and the only question I've had from residents when I've asked about this today is, when will it open? So, to know that we're still on track for spring 2022 is at least something.
We're currently within the £42 million budget, and we're aiming to bring it in on budget and spring 2022. And if Claire's okay if I hand the delays and costs over to her, but I think that might be one we may need to take away and again feed back to you.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Councillor West, for your questions, and thank you, Wayne, for providing a fair bit of information in response to those already. The information that I would then just add into the responses is that when we started on site in 2020, it was at the time, you remember, we had storms, we had floods. So the ground conditions were something that actually contributed to not being able to go as fast with the groundworks as we would have liked to have done. However, that is still feasible to get some betterment back on that. So when we look at a project, it's got a milestone of programme dates. And so there's still an opportunity to create betterment on the current programme, and therefore, it can go slightly more in delay or slightly better, depending on what comes up in the coming 18 months. That's what we mean by betterment on the programme, and there are some very good reasons, why that occurred very early on in the project. With regards to then the other dates that you mentioned, the dates that you're quoting are construction completion dates. Now, the first one moved because we decided to redesign the leisure water to make it bigger, and that was in response to feedback that we'd been getting. And so by then redesigning that, that meant that we'd construct the project further down the line, if you like. And then that means that the opening. This is the first time we've ever said we would be opening in spring 22, and we still are on track to be able to do so. So there's just a difference between those dates of construction completion and the reason why.
Can I just come back to that, Claire? The hoardings that were up on Moorways specifically said it was opening in 2020. I've got a photo there from July 19 that says opening 2020. I quizzed Councillor Wood at this at full council in July 2020 and was told that it would be late 2021. Those hoardings clearly say opening 2020. They do not say the construction will be built in 2020. They say opening in 2020. And residents have had to put up with years of uncertainty at this facility. They had hoardings declaring it was opening in 2020. It then slipped to 2021 and it's now 2022. For whatever reason, we appreciate there are always good reasons for these things, but the date I quote is from the hoardings that Derby Live put up and that were available for everybody to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely fine. Absolutely accept those points, Councillor West, entirely. The opening date that I'm referring to is the first time we've opened this venue. So the construction changed. So the construction dates that you're quoting are based on the previous design. So that absolutely was going to be designed and then opened in 2020. Once the design changed, the opening date then became spring 2022. So that was the point I was just referring to there. It was felt appropriate for that extended timeline in order to bring something bigger and better to Derby, which Wayne very eloquently took you through the design of that leisure water. So that's the explanation for those dates. Then with regards to then the costs, basically it's all wrapped up within the budget currently. So basically we have contingency funds that are there to be able to deal with the sorts of things that I've referred to. You know, the floods and the storms are things that you have contingency budgets for. So that's what I would add to the responses that Wayne's already given. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. So that all comes in within the sort of 34,000 to B&K, or does that all does the contingency also apply to our contract, our highways funds?
The 34,000. Did you mean the 34 million or?
Yes, million.
Yeah. So the 34 million is the construction figure. And the overall project is 42 million. So then the other funds are made up for paying of equipment, fixtures, fittings. It's also then project management support and the development of the project for the contingencies needed, depending on the things that come along during the project itself. So it could be that we alter the design in some way, or it could be that we have to deal with the COVID-19, and that's impacts, and that's where the contingency then would be used accordingly. So that's within the overall £42 million.
Thank you. As you'll appreciate, it's a couple of years that I've been wanting to ask these questions, which is why there are quite so many of them.
Thank you for those questions, and hopefully the responses are meeting your needs.
Thank you, Joanna. Just before I ask the question that Councillor Pegg has put in the chat, I just want to press on this particular point about the budget and the changes to the plans. Now, clearly, as with all projects, they go through a series of iterations. You seek feedback, you respond to that feedback, etc. But I just want to really pinpoint this issue about the 42 million budget that's been set for the project. When was the £42 million budget set, and was that before or after the changes were made to the design?
So I'll be doing this from memory because obviously it was some months ago. There was a cabinet report that was produced that asked for the additional funding in order to accommodate the additional design.
Okay, and what was the request for? How much?
It's a level of detail that's going to be needed to be referred back to the cabinet report, Councillor Russell.
Okay, so I mean,
we're talking 2019 information, and we can obviously find that out for you.
Yeah, I would appreciate it if you could circulate to the board the specific details about that, because I've got another question about the overall £42 million budget. What proportion, you mentioned this yourself, Claire, in terms of the contingency element. Now, clearly, every major project like this obviously has to have an element of contingency to make plans for unforeseen circumstances. What proportion of the £42 million budget is contingency?
It's just over 5%.
5%. Right. I'm not great at maths.
So basically, the
about 2.1 million.
So the industry advises around a 5% construction contingency, and that's the figure that we were able to provide, and it's just shy of 2 million. So your maths is pretty decent.
All right. Well, I won't go that far, but all right. So around 2 million is the contingency that's been set aside as part of the overall 42. One of the questions that Councillor West asked, and I didn't pick up a specific answer to this point, was you talked about the delays at the beginning of the year to construction with the floods, with the weather preventing us getting on site. Now, clearly COVID will have had some form of impact on the build as well. Are you telling me then that those delays at the beginning of the year and the delays that will have inevitably been caused by COVID are covered by that contingency budget?
Currently, that's where those costs have been allocated to, for those costs that are for the council to pick up. Okay,
so that therefore follows that you are projecting at this point there is not an overspend in the contingency budget, and that it will come in on time and on budget in spring 2020 at a cost of 42 million.
That's the current forecast. Clearly we've got 18 months to go, and in the same way.
Yeah, but what I'm specifically trying to get to right now, Claire, is just to be really, really clear that despite the challenges we've had in 2020, we have not yet overspent on the contingency element.
Correct.
Okay, so as far as we're all concerned at this moment in time, there's going to be no overspend. Despite what may come, there may be other challenges that we face, and clearly updates would need to be brought. But as of today, we are not overspent on the contingency element.
So we're currently have contingency funds left, and we're currently forecasting to be within 42 million.
Okay.
We're 18 months out, and just like we didn't know that storms and floods were going to be the worst.
Which may well occur again. Yeah, no, I totally accept that, Claire. All I wanted to get to was a point of understanding that clearly there's been a number of delays this year. Just wanted to make sure that those delays had not caused an overspend in the element of the budget that we set aside for contingency. And you're clearly telling us that that is not the case, which is reassuring. Now, just on the wider point of the budget, I would be really keen for board members to get a breakdown of the overall budget and what contingency spends have been made to date within each element of the budget, and get just an overall picture. I'm not talking about minutiae, you know, I don't want to know that somebody spent 20 quid on some screws, do you know what I mean? Just, you know, an overall kind of picture about the budget, what element of the budget is set aside for what, and what spend, particularly around the contingency, has been spent today. Is that something you can do for us, Claire?
I'll certainly talk to colleagues in the team to be able to pull that together for you.
That's fab. That's great. Thanks so much. Okay, so going to Councillor Pegg's comments here. I'll just go to your most recent one first, Paul, because it's in relation to the budget. Councillor Pegg asks, does that £42 million include the 13 million taken out for the assembly rooms? I'll take silence as nobody's quite sure. Is that what we're...
I'm wondering why they're linked. That's the silence. So it's, as far as I'm aware, it's been a swimming project budget that we've utilised.
Okay. Maybe we can clarify that later, just because clearly Paul, do you wish to add any context to that?
Yeah, I would actually, because there was £13 million taken out of the Moorways budget originally for the assembly rooms. Yes, there was, clear. It's in the papers, and I'd like to know that if that the 42 million includes the 13 million, or is that an additional sum on top of it?
I'd have to get finance colleagues to clarify that point.
I wish you would, Claire, please.
Yeah, that'd be great. Can you include that in the email you send round, Claire, please? That's great. And Councillor Pegg raised an additional question. I think has any account been made of what potential impact the new gym and exercise facilities may make on the arena?
We recently appointed a preferred supplier for our health and fitness equipment, and one of the things that they have been asked to do is to carry out something called a latent demand report for the service as a whole. So that will look at Moorways, that will look at the arena, it'll also pick up Springwood. And that looks at the location and everybody within there, and potentially which facility they would be most likely to go to. So that is a piece of work that's currently being done at this point in time, and that will look forward, and it takes into account housing developments and things like that. So at the moment, we don't have a definitive answer, but that is a piece of work that is to be done, and then we'll filter that into our business planning. Okay,
so in actual fact, then once this piece of work's been done, it may mean that either the gym and exercise studio at Moorways or at the arena are surplus to requirements.
I don't think it will identify that they're surplus to requirements, because both facilities, while there may be some lap over of customer, they've both got their own individual catchment areas.
Yeah, but would running the two so close together, would they be a viable proposition?
We did a latent demand study, and at that time there was sufficient demand to warrant the size of venues that were being built. Now the fitness market can change, obviously, with private providers coming in and out, but at the time we did the study, then the figures were showing that both venues would be suitable for the city and the growth of health and fitness going forward. Whether COVID-19 then plays its impact on that, etc., etc., it will play out in time, clearly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the members have any questions for Claire or Wayne? Okay. Well, thank you for the presentation, and we look forward to receiving the clarification on the budget elements, but really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us tonight and give us that update, guys, so thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chair, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Pegg and Councillor Wood. Feel free, all of you, to go and have your tea or whatever it is you want to do.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting. Good night.
Good night.
Right. Onwards to the next item, everyone. Oh, unless there are any recommendations on that particular item.
I'm just trying to pull up the paperwork, Chair.
Maybe we should have kept them in the meeting for that, but I forgot, to be honest.
Well, we can feed back to them, can't we?
Yeah.
What were the recommendations were just to note the information details. So I guess to follow on from your questions, Chair, to ask for the budget figures to be circulated.
Yeah. Yeah, shall we make that an official recommendation for them, and then it's recorded and noted that that's what we asked for? I think that's probably sensible, Joanna.
I'd agree with that, Chair.
Yeah, that and it was just the information asked. So it was the finance stuff and then the details about the newsletter, which are quite minor, but something that we've asked for, and it says it in the report at 5.2. So it's just sort of square in the circle, isn't it?
Okay then, Karen, are you okay with that? Did you get the gist of what we're recommending?
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. And can all members indicate whether they support that recommendation, please?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah. Yes, Chair.
Thank you. We're all in agreement, Karen. Thank you very much. Okay, I will now move on to the next item on the agenda. The lovely Matt is going to present Next Steps Accommodation.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just share my desktop. I don't know whether it's my computer or me that is slow, but just please bear with me.
It's definitely not you, Matt.
There's a caveat there. So, as if by magic, the Next Steps Accommodation Programme. The Next Steps Accommodation Programme follows the call that was made by Luke Hall and central government to bring everyone in at the end of March. And it aims to continue providing emergency accommodation and sustainable move-on accommodation and permanent or more settled accommodation for individuals that were brought in during the pandemic. Derby's offer was the Holiday Inn Express, which offered 100 bedrooms. Typically, we had between 45 and 50 guests stay in on a typical evening. Some figures just on there, that there were 27,000 people nationally that were supported and brought in as at September. There's still 10,000 that are still in that emergency provision. There's a number of areas that still have hotels and people, guests staying in those, but 17,000 have been moved on and provided with settled accommodation or supported accommodation. In Derby, we saw 143 unique individuals stay at the Holiday Inn. And we're one of only a handful. We were one of only a handful. There's more that have followed. Local authorities that successfully moved people on from the hotels and into supported housing pathways and closed ours down, which we did on the 19th of June. And a breakdown of the numbers that we have. We got 71 of the guests that stayed were moved into supported accommodation and through our housing pathways. 16 people moved into settled housing, which was social housing primarily, and that was primarily by Derby Homes as stock. 5 individuals were supported to return home, and there were 51 that voluntarily left the hotel during that 3-month period or were asked to leave. So what we learned from that, well, I think it reinforced what we knew, which was that settled and stable accommodation is essential as we seek to eradicate rough sleeping. This was one of the main focuses of our bid to provide settled accommodation. Many of the residents that were in the supported accommodation area there that you see on the graphic were actually tenancy ready. They were sustaining their own accommodation. They were engaged in meaningful activities, and that includes education and training, odd ones that even moved into employment. And they were ready to move into their own home and live independently. As we closed the hotel on the 19th of June, we were able to make some direct matches because at that point in time, Home Finder was suspended, and that enabled us, gave us an opportunity, enabling us to make those direct matches and move people on from that supported accommodation provision, the pathways that we'd got there. And I think it's probably worth noting that the revised allocations policy that has just been implemented has created a corporate initiative band, and within that there's a need to move on from supported housing pathways, which should assist us with that and create that necessary flow within the system. Excuse me. The bid includes funding to acquire settled accommodation, which is a permanent asset for the city, and that needs to be available for rough sleepers or people threatened with rough sleeping for the next 30 years. So our bid was for 1.2 million of capital funds, which was will be match fund by a further 1.2 million from the retained housing revenue account funds, and that's for the purchase of 20 new properties for rough sleepers or people threatened with rough sleeping. Attached to that is £455,000 of revenue funding for the last quarter of this year and the next 3 years to support those individuals and help them sustain those properties, that accommodation. I think it's probably worth noting at this point that those two components, the capital fund and the 455,000 revenue funding, that's been approved by Homes England. It's been recommended by Ministry of Housing, Community and Local Government, but it still actually requires final sign-off. Everything points that we're successful with that, but we have been awarded 61,800 for emergency accommodation costs, and that'll primarily focus on bed and breakfast to bring rough sleepers in during the cold months that lie ahead. Hopefully not too cold, but the cold months that lie ahead. There's a further £20,000, just under, for private rented accommodation, and that private rented accommodation is for non-qualifying my voice is going to go non-qualifying people who are from the European Economic Area, and the aim there is there's a suspension of derogation basically that government have allowed, that we can accommodate non-qualifying European Economic Area individuals and get them to a point where they do qualify. We've currently got five individuals that are housed in that accommodation, and two of them are now just about to become eligible, so there's some success from that. There's a further £40,000 of winter provision funding, which is to provide 4 COVID secure, COVID safe sleeping pods within the safe space on Normanton Road, which will give us a capacity of 6 bed spaces within there in a COVID safe environment. Because the layout of that building ordinarily is open plan and would be deemed unsuitable in the current climate. The mobilisation, 20 properties. There's been lots and lots of work that has been done, and Karen Brealey has come along with us. She's identified 20 properties which are at various stages going through conveyancing, and some just about to be finalised with the purchase. And it's also worth noting that during that mobilisation, the cooperation and joint working through Derby City Council and Derby Homes, and within the council, our colleagues in housing strategy, in finance, in legal, and the support of our cabinet member have been essential to get this bid put forward and over the line. And again, within Derby Homes, the capital works team ready to come in and do some upgrades on the properties as we purchase them and get them to a lettable standard. The finance within housing options at Derby Homes, housing management, procurement and legal. It's been a real joint effort to get this over the line in a really short period of time. And that is the end of the presentation in relation to the Next Steps accommodation programme bid, but happy to take questions.
That's great. Thank you so much, Matt. I've been privy to that report, well, a number of times, to be honest, in my capacity as Vice Chair for Derby Homes, and I just want to restate here this evening at this meeting that I think the work done here has been nothing short of exceptional. I'm really proud of us as a city, Derby Homes, and the team for delivering on this, because it really is critical. And as we move through, the various iterations and stages of lockdown and the impact on COVID and the winter months coming, it will be hugely testing for us all. And I know Matt and the team will be working flat out to do everything they can. So I just want to say thank you for everything that you guys are doing. Mike, you wanted to ask a question?
Not really a question, Chair, just to say how I am impressed by the work that's been done. And I agree with you, Chair. I think that's a phenomenal effort. And if we can keep all these people off the streets through the winter, I think we should give everybody in the whole council a huge pat on the back, Chair. Thank you.
Absolutely, Mike. Councillor Pearce has just added his agreement to that, and thinks that it's a great effort by everybody concerned too. And Councillor West would like to contribute, please.
Just also to echo previous sentiments, Chair, that thank you, Matt. It's a fantastic presentation, and it's great to see what has been done in the city. It's really positive steps, and it's really nice to see. And as Mike says, if we can keep people off the streets during the coldest months of the year, then we'll have done something right. So yeah, our thanks.
Well, I mean, Matt, you've had an easy ride there, love, haven't you? I mean, what more can you ask for?
Well, thank you all for your very kind words, but I think from top to bottom within Derby Homes and across the council, the support and that joint working and how everybody has come together to deliver it, because there was a huge amount of work, and our partners as well. You know, the delivering the work that went on in the hotel, we couldn't have done it all without the help and the support from health, from the police, from probation, from treatment services, and I'll miss somebody out, I'm sure. But there were lots of agencies and people from the voluntary sector and the faith sector that came together to deliver those services and drive that forward with our bid. So it was quite humbling to see, in all honesty, but some great work, and thank you all very much for your kind words.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you to Karen as well for coming and presenting. I've been really impressed, actually. Just very briefly, I know I'm kind of at the risk of waxing lyrical here, but I mean the joint working that has improved, I think, beyond recognition, if I'm honest, between Derby Homes and the City Council, I think is real testament to the individuals involved who have worked tirelessly to make that strategic vision and that strategic partnership really work for Derby and Derby people. And I think all credit to you, and long may it continue. So thank you both. Go and have your tea, go and relax, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, on we go, colleagues, to item number 7, remit, work programme and topic reviews. Now, Karen, help me out here. Is this also in relation to the email that you sent out to us?
Yes, you've got the work programme set out at Appendix 1 of the report. And I also emailed some information about how far we'd got with the topic review, with a view to what you want to do next with that.
I have rather sillily lost that correspondence that I genuinely had open not 10 minutes ago, and I don't know where it's gone. Karen, can you just help us out and just run us through very briefly the topic review firstly, to just give us a very brief highlight of the things that we've considered and therefore an idea of what next steps could be.
Okay, so basically you've looked at we started off with to look at homelessness and the empty home strategy. We then held a informal meeting to try and narrow that down a little bit. And then we agreed 3 objectives: to establish if and how the board was able to influence the proportion of affordable housing provided on developments, to establish if and how an affordable housing contribution could be made in lieu if affordable housing was not provided on particular developments, and to identify if this could be done through the local plan process, and if not possible, where there were any other options to be considered. Now, you heard some evidence from the planning section from Paul Clark. The local plan policy is backed up. Oh, no, forget that bit, that was not right. So it was suggested that the board looked at evidence from possibly people from Derby Homes, strategic housing and planning. So the evidence we need to gather, we've got all the policies related to homelessness, housing strategy and empty home strategy, the local planning policy and some relevant legislation. So when we met in November 2019, the questions we looked at were: how many homes do we need? How many empty homes do we have? How much does it cost to build homes? Can treasury management be used to assist? Is it possible to buy more homes and renovate them and then resell them to make money? And can we change the requirements of local planning policy CP7? Any changes to this policy to either increase the percentage of affordable housing secured or lower the threshold of where we seek affordable housing would have to be done through a review of the local plan. What has happened since then is that the homelessness and rough sleeping strategy 2020 to 25 was considered and approved by Cabinet on the 11th of March. The housing strategy was also considered and approved by Council Cabinet, and that was on the 10th of June. Other items the board may wish to consider. In March 2019, the board received reports on affordable housing delivery, empty homes, the relationship between the City Council's empty home service and the private sector. And they also had a presentation on new approach to affordable housing provision and affordable housing demand. So that's where we've got to. So now what we need to do is decide what we need to do next.
Okay, thank you, Karen. That was very helpful. Jerry, Joanna, Mike, do you have any suggestions or any burning desire to hear any further information in relevance to this topic review?
Can I speak, Sarah, please? Sorry.
You may speak.
Yeah, I know all those things that Karen's run down. I think we do need a lot. There's quite a few that came through when I was on the Derby Homes board. We were talking about new homes that were going to go up. There doesn't seem to be that many springing up, to be quite honest. Now, I'm only talking personally through Chaddersden. I know there was like 3 separate areas there where it wasn't many. There was like an 8, a 2 and a 2, but nothing seems to be happening on them. I just wanted to know, really, again through Derby Homes, whether anything was rapidly being put through the city with those as well.
That's probably quite a good idea, Jerry, to be honest, to get invite Sean Bennett to come and present to us, to run through. I mean, again, you see, it's a bit wrong for me because I get all this information direct from Derby Homes and then I just absorb it and then I don't really, do you know what I mean? So
no, it's fine. No, because I know what, when I was on the Derby Homes, I was taking that in, and it didn't seem to be getting back to the Regen board like we're doing now, and I think it should do, really, because I think this is the committee that could push it a bit more as well.
Yeah, I agree. Let's if the other members are in agreement, Karen, could we invite Sean Bennett to come and give an update on new build and timeframes, projections, etc.?
We can.
Joanna?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I mean, going back to the bits that Karen read out, I managed to pull the document up while she was reading it. The thing that I think we talked about initially, and definitely when Paul Clark came to the meeting last year as part of, the West Review, was that at the moment it's development of 15 units or more where affordable housing has to be considered. And the thing that we'd looked at and talked about in one of those meetings was whether, as part of the local plan going forward, we could reduce that so that those smaller developments where there are, developers coming along and doing that sort of back garden development and putting up a couple of houses or 3 houses here and a few more in another plot of land, whether we can reduce that 15 units down to ideally 1. And that people put some money into it. So instead of saying we'll build you 15 units and, I don't know, one of them is an affordable home, would be more, be 30% of, whether we can say you're building 2 houses, please can you put a contribution of X% into a pot so that we can look at putting that towards, and whether we get Derby Homes to do it, and I think that's what we talked about with Derby Homes, but so that some money gets set aside even if the development doesn't hit those 15 units, and then at some point Derby City Council, Derby Homes, another builder can go and build some affordable housing for the city, because that's what we need, and whether that goes as flats or whatever we see appropriate at the time, but that would be the thing for me, if we can look at reducing that development of 15 units or more to a lower figure.
Yeah, great. I agree, Joanna. That might be kind of a cross-departmental thing, Karen. So I mean, obviously you try and source who the best person is, but maybe someone in strategic housing or something potentially. But I mean, I think we should definitely get someone to come and talk to us about that.
Okay, we'll do that.
Mike?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, along the same lines, I have, if you like, two two bees in my bonnet about it. One is the number of empty houses that people have been sitting on for years, and I know we have a team that does a good job, but I'd like to see, and this is not a criticism of them, us put more oomph into their efforts to bring empty homes back into use if people are not doing anything with them. And the other one is this is relating to what Joanna says, this viability issue, where we keep saying, well, we'd like some more affordable homes, for affordable homes on that development, but they've gone to the local valuer who says the numbers don't stack up. Well, that makes me cross, because I'm pretty sure the developers are still making money out of it. So I'd like to see how we can explore twisting the arms of developers rather to get away from this. We've done the sums and they can't make their 20%. Well, I'm not that bothered whether they make 20%, to be honest. As long as they make a profit and stay in business, I'm happy with that if we get some more affordable homes out of it.
This is it. And just coming back on that, Mike, I mean, any money that they can put aside, even if it's a small amount, if every developer puts a small amount into a pot, we'll be able to build some affordable housing going forward. And that's what we need to do.
Yeah, agree with that.
It's absolutely worth exploring here to identify this particular part, because that is a very powerful argument, isn't it? If a developer makes the argument that well, it won't be financially viable if we build X number of affordable homes. All right, well, don't build them then. Give us a financial contribution to our own part and we'll go and build them. Yeah. And I think that is something definitely that we could explore. It will take a professional to tell us whether that is doable and how it's doable. So let's get a professional to come and talk to us, because I'm with you guys on that. That's a really, really good point. Okay, so that is the topic review, Karen, that we want to continue looking at. Are you okay with all of that?
That's fine, thank you.
Marvellous. Okay, just briefly going back then to the work programme, just to double check, as it stands at the moment, are we happy with the projection of what's contained on the forward plan work programme? Not the forward plan, the work programme. They're different things. I know that, Karen. I know they're different. You know.
Looks good to me, Chair.
Sorry, love.
Looks good to me. Okay. It looks like some good stuff coming forwards, which hasn't maybe been on the agenda for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Where do you think we can get the other elements of the topic review on there, Karen? Are we going to squeeze them in at the next meeting or look to the following one?
What I'll do is I'll see who we can find out that can come and get them in as soon as we can.
Yeah, great. I would say, can we have just a plea to get them in at the January meeting if possible, purely because it will give us more time as a board then, following any conversations, to then follow up on that in the municipal year, because clearly March is kind of at the end of the line, as it were. So if we can get them in January, I think that would be ideal. But other than that, I think we're happy with what's on the work programme moving forward.
Yeah, because if I can just come in, Chair, that was the problem from the last year, was that we looked at this in January. We were going to come back to it in March. The March meeting then never happened, and we didn't meet again until September. And theoretically, we're a new committee makeup. People could have come into this year and said, oh, we're not going to do that anymore. We'll do something different. And I'd be really keen to see something go through, if we possibly can, this year or even at the start of next year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, great. Okay, so that's all finalised then. And then the final item 8, Karen, I don't believe there are any items that have been referred from exec scrutiny, are there?
No, that's just a standing item. There are none this time.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, that wraps everything up. So thank you, everybody, for your attendance. And I will see you again on the 18th of January.
18th of January, yes.
18th of January.
18th of January. All right.
Thank you
all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for an excellent meeting, Chair. Thank you very much.
Cheers all.
Sure.